All right, here we go. Today we are talking about our very favorite bikes that we have ridden and reviewed this year. We're each going to pick our favorite bike per category and tell you why they're our favorites. So the categories are XC, Trail, All Mountain, Enduro, and e-bikes.
So starting off with the XC category, my pick is the Ibis XC. I absolutely love this bike. It is by far the fastest climbing bike that I've ever been on, and I think maybe like the fastest XC bike that I've been on, period. So it just rips.
And I'm also going to have to go with the Ibis XC, pretty much for the same reasons as Zach. It is the fastest XC bike that I have ever ridden up and down, and it's pretty long and stable, and I think that's what I like the most about it, is it didn't feel quite as squirrely or timid as most XC bikes.
Oh, absolutely. You can get after it on that bike.
Yeah, for sure. It goes. All right, so now let's jump into the trail category, and for my pick, I'm gonna go with the most recent bike that I've ridden, which is the Rocky Mountain Instinct. That bike was so much fun. I think it's probably the most fun 29er that I've ridden. Jumps super well, corners super well, and feels very quick and lively on the trail.
I really like that one too. It's not gonna be my pick, but yeah, I thought that bike was fantastic. For me, I'm gonna pick the Ibis Ripley AF.
Ibis guy over here.
Know.
Ibis hat.
And the hat,
Ripped,
you know,
oh
I'm
man.
Not sponsored.
Zach bought this
Ibis.
house because of Ibis.
I wish. In any case, yeah, I loved the Ripley AF. To me, it's the epitome of what a trail bike should be. It rips downhill, really, really climbs well, and the value on the AF is just really hard to beat.
Yeah, you can't really beat, what, just over $3 grand for a pretty solid trail bike?
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into the all mountain category. I bet you could probably guess which my favorite is going to be, and it is the Transition Sentinel. And if I'm being honest, that is not just my favorite all mountain bike for the year, that is my favorite bike for the year. The way I like to describe it is it's always burly enough, but never too burly. It destroys on the downhill, but when you get on the easier, mellower trails, it's not boring. And I think that was my favorite thing about it.
Well, that's frankly where I'm going too, is with the Sentinel. It just is surprising. You can just let go, and it is so fast descending and so confident descending, like Connor said, and it's gonna get you back up the hill. I mean, it's not quite as quick as some of the other ones maybe, but it's never a chore. Like, that bike's gotten me into trouble. Like, it is just so much fun to just let it rip.
And speaking of letting it rip, just gonna put a fart sound effect in there. And now, talking about bikes that go downhill very well, let's talk about the Enduro category. My favorite bike in the Enduro category this year has been the Norco Range. That thing is a tank. I don't have the tire budget to keep riding this bike because I shred tires left and right, even double downs with Cushcore, Tannis, whatever. The bike goes way too fast in the nastiest, gnarliest terrain.
For me, it's gonna be the Rocky Mountain Altitude. I just really loved kind of the plushness of the bike. I love the control of the bike. Still flickable though. It has some of the same characteristics of the Instinct, just with more smash and bash. And you know, to me, that's what you're looking for in an Enduro bike.
That one's kind of on the opposite end of the Enduro bike spectrum for me, where it's on like the little bit, maybe all mountain side of Enduro, and then the Range is on the downhill side of Enduro. And that is a pretty solid attribute for that bike, to be a little bit more versatile and lively.
I mean, I'd say it's actually not that far above than the Sentinel. I mean, but it still is. It still feels a little more Enduro. You feel like you got a little more underneath you, and you do, but it's not too far off. All right, so into our last category, e-bikes. My favorite, hands down, is the Orbea Rise. I am just head over heels in love with this bike. I mean, it's an e-bike, so it's fun uphill, but the downhill on this and the maneuverability on it because of the weight just sells it for me.
Yeah, I also really love the Rise, and this one's a tough choice for me because the Rise is so fun and so much like your regular bike on the downhill. But man, the suspension on the Trans XE was incredible. If I could describe my perfect suspension performance in a bike, that would be it. It was so buttery smooth and then ramped up so well. And for being a big, full power e-bike, it didn't feel as cumbersome as most. And I think that's a lot to do with the suspension curve on that. Keeps it lively and fun.
Well, and the motor on that one's incredible.
Cannot beat that motor either. I think that is probably the best e-bike motor that I've ridden. All right, so there you have it. That is our list of our favorite bikes for the year. You probably disagree and want to tell us that we're wrong, and you probably will, and I'll probably make fun of you in the comments, but you know, fair's fair. So we are really looking forward to next year. We're seeing bike supply chain get a little bit more normal and starting to catch up a little bit. So hopefully we are able to get our hands on a lot more bikes to review for this upcoming year. So we're really looking forward to that. As always, thanks for sticking around. We'll see you next time. All right.